How's it going, guys? Good morning. Ronin here. Today I want to describe a archetype or a type of character. And in this case, the character is female and very evil, very negative. But I really want to I think it's a good time to let you know what I really think about this. And I want to say that the reason why I'm going to describe this character is not in any sense negative on women. Okay, this really is not. This is essentially evil people will take advantage of whatever they have. So if they are wealthy, they will use money to, hurt other people. If they are powerful, they will use that. They will use whatever the things that they have. Okay, they look around them and they see the talents or the any kind of supplies they have, and they'll use that as a way to hurt others, control others, diminish others. And a female has a different bag of tricks, has a different skill set than a man. So that's the way I want you to think about it. That's one thing. And the second thing is, it's very important, is to understand is there's more and more female listeners to Ronin Man. And I think that's totally awesome. You guys, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I want to say that I think people have become very sensitive where they cannot see, or if they hear anything negative, let's say men hear something negative about men and women hear something negative about women, tend to say, oh, this is negative about women. And I've kind of waited until I had the right mindset or the ability to verbalize what I want to say. The reason why, evil people affect a lot of people. So, for example, I know a family in the Hollywood Hills, and there is a female psychopath, what I believe to be a female psychopath, in the family. So, married essentially the patriarch, and is destroying the family, totally destroying the family. And this family had wealth for many generations. They moved out to California several generations ago, and they were very wealthy even at that time. And they have since then built wealth. But this one psychopath is destroying everything. And so when the father dies, the father is elderly, there will be nothing for anybody. Like not just men, but women, everybody will lose for this one. So the negative effects of one person can affect a lot of people in very, very negative ways. So it's important to know these things. And also, we have mothers. Everybody has a mother. So when there is a female psychopath, that affects everybody in the family. And the daughters in a very different way than the sons, right? So in that spirit, I want to describe this type of character. Now, the best way that historically this has been described is the Samson and Delilah story. So there was a man, just in a nutshell, was very strong, and he could, vanquish enemies, and he could do whatever. He was confident, and it described essentially the ultimate alpha male of that period. And happy, there's everybody liked him, and he got his way, and everything was easy, and he was healthy, and he was smiling, and he woke up and he was optimistic, and everything was great, right? And then he met a female psychopath, and she tried to get him to tell her, because everybody that is successful, we all go through. No, we all do the same thing. But for example, many people go to prison, but some people come out of prison stronger. Other people come out weaker. We all are most people are in lockdown now, or have been in lockdown. Some people came out in better shape. Some people came out in worse shape, mentally, physically, financially, every single way. So we all are confronted with things, right? We're all confronted with age, right? And we get older. But some people, obviously, it affects more. So we are confronted with things, and then we react differently. Different people react differently. And often, the heart of that difference is our secret. Our secret power. And that secret power is something that is very unique for each person. And I think for this example, I'm going to say that I think that men, and the reason why the Delilah and Samson's story was a man and a woman is because they were trying to describe something that they saw, that it wasn't the same for men and women. So men and women are very different. So these historical, meaningful, archetypal stories, the type of stories that Disney picks up on, this type of stories that religion will write about, they're trying to describe something. They're trying to show you, you're listening to a story, and exactly what Ronin Man does. I tell you a story of my life, and I tell you in depth the pain, the pleasure, everything, so that I'm hoping that you can listen and you can connect the dots and see if there's something similar and help you to start to get a visual on this blurry, complicated thing, right? By seeing how I realize something or describe something and started to understand something and then overcome something, you can say, well, oh, wow, okay. And then you can see, oh, geez, I have that similar type of thing, right? So in my life, oh, wow, I never realized that these two things are connected, right? And that, oh, they are connected. Like when that happened, then that happened, and you can start to connect the dots for your own story. And that's how we learn. That's how we learn. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So in that is an intro. Let's talk about how, or one of the things the female psychopath does that is very different from the male psychopath and has a very different effect, very devastating effect. And it is something that motivates, and this is important to understand, the female psychopath. It's something that gives her pleasure. She's looking for something and she does it, and then she feels happy when she completes it. Okay, so it's important to understand both what she's doing and how she feels about it, and then the effects. And again, this could be your family, this could be your father, this could be your brother, or this could be, the person running your country. There could be many, many things. Your boss, I've worked for companies where the spouse of the person was the real owner of the company. And that was quite often very, very difficult. People often didn't last long at those companies because it was a trap door. You didn't realize that your boss was not your boss. It was the spouse of the boss was your boss. And their judgment was totally different than maybe what you thought you were getting in your job description and what your targets were. Maybe you had targets of a sales target, or you had some kind of cost-cutting target or something, and then you reached those targets, but you didn't get the benefit, and you actually got punished for reaching your targets because the person who was actually running the company had totally different motivations than the person who described, who set you up in the company. So that these are all instances where a female psychopath can create a lot of damage for people. And again, sons, daughters, male, female employees, male and female individuals. Okay, so Samson and Delilah in a nutshell. That guy, he had a secret and he would not tell her. She wanted to know, what is your secret, Samson? Why are you so powerful? How are you so, what is it about you? What are you, and she would constantly try to figure it out, and he would never tell, right? But finally, he got so comfortable with her. They were laying by the fire. He got so comfortable. He told her that it was his long hair. His long hair was what gave him. Now, of course, this is a archetypal story to teach you a lesson. So, obviously, his hair probably wasn't the actual thing, but it was something, right? Maybe, but of course, how a man looks does affect how people respond to him. And if he looks very, if it gives him, like a lion has a mane, like a peacock has a tail. A man has hair, and a man's looks are something that society doesn't really focus on. It's always about a woman's looks, but it very much affects people's reaction to that man. Some men just look very powerful, and people will respond in that way to them, unless there is something that proves, like without a shadow of a doubt, the opposite. So he finally told her, and then she cut off his hair at night. And he was totally destroyed. He basically lost all his power, and every single thing that he was able to do, he was not able to do. And he could not. Once that secret was known, and it was probably a number of things. Like in this case, it's the sense of, it's not just his hair, okay? That would be one aspect of it, but the other aspect is that he trusted her, and he obviously loved her, right? So to be betrayed by somebody that you trust and that you let into your inner circle is a devastating blow. It's a devastating blow, and so it's important to know that it wasn't just his hair, although obviously the story in the Bible didn't describe it. But the sense of being undermined by the very person that you love is just devastating to your psyche as a man. It's like you have all these women in the world to choose from, and then you choose one, and then that is your one. That is a man. A man truly only has room for one person in his heart. I really believe this. I really believe this. I remember, even no matter how many women I had when I was younger, I remember thinking that. I remember thinking there's only one girl in there. No matter how many girls I had, there was always one girl at the time. Not forever, not for my whole life, but for that period, there was one girl who was the one that I really felt I loved, at that time. And that is a very powerful thing, and it doesn't make any logical sense, because you could have other girls, or I had other girls who were prettier or whatever it was, that just somehow you would think would be that one, but actually no, there'd be another one, and it would be the one who was, if I thought of just looking inside my heart, you just look inside a little container and you see in there, and there's one person, right? And that was her, right? And so that's the way men are. So when a man has that one, and she's the one that he decides, or he feels, it's not even a decision, right? It's obviously a very deep, some kind of bond, I don't know, destiny. This is where you start using these kind of fucking hoity-toity words, because it's there is no way to describe this type of stuff. This is not logical stuff, but as we all know, this changes history, and this will change everything. Who you have children with, who you stay with, where you live, what you do, how your life goes. These are powerful fucking decisions, right? Each one of these is huge. But that who gets in there, who is inside there, when you look in there, who's in there, that is insanely powerful. And men are just boom. I don't know what a woman's heart is like. I don't know what it looks like in there. I don't really know. But I know for a man that there's one. And it's strange. It's just the most strangest thing. I think guys with one woman, this is very intuitive for them, very easy to understand. They say, "Oh, yeah, of course there's one in there." But for me, it doesn't. I think the guy with only one woman doesn't really understand how incredible it is, because when you have a lot of women, you realize, wait, this doesn't make any logical sense. Why is this? I always tell people my type is this, and I like that, and it's no, there she is, sitting in there. There's nothing you can fucking do about it, even when you call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, but there's still that chick's just sitting in there. And this is important for men to understand. It's important to understand that you are not logically in control of everything in your life. There is a point when you need to give up and realize that you're a human being, that you have emotions, and they are, at times extremely illogical. And that is partly how you master life, is by accepting who you are. By fighting who you are, it is a way to essentially, it guts yourself. It eviscerates yourself. But okay, let's go back to the female psychopath. So what does the psychopath do? So Delilah was a psychopath. Now, what she did in that case was she cut his hair, okay? And, more than that, she tricked him. She cajoled him. And I would say that she targeted and zeroed in on him. She had a goal. She saw his power. She saw his radiance. Okay, he radiated power, and she was attracted to that. But, okay, that's the thing. Here's where it ends. The psychopath, the female psychopath, she has a pleasure in destroying that. So this is why you get so many Disney characters that are female that will laugh when let's say the children, the wicked witch, and then the children fall into the boiling oil, and then she will laugh. They are describing something there. Okay? They are describing something. So the person that wrote that story, is not a creative genius. They are describing somebody in their life. Like, that's the crazy thing. You would think, oh, wow, what a great story. Like, Disney even uses this wonderful story, and you think, well, they really have a creative sense. They just, like, everybody resonates with this story, It's like, well, yeah, the reason why it was so easy to write is because they're the pain. That person actually lived with a female psychopath and is writing a fiction book, trying to describe the dynamics of that person and being with them and what it means, right? So the female psychopath, because the female psychopath is female, okay, what do you think about females? What does society think about females? What do you think about your mom? You probably have a very, like, you think essentially that what does society think about women? What do you think about women? You probably think, in general, women are less likely to be violent, probably more nurturing, more caring for children. What else do you think? I mean, even if you've been hurt or you've had a tough time, even if you've been through a tough divorce, men and women are different, and we know that. And so that one exception, or even 1,000 exceptions, even 1,000,000 exceptions, does not destroy the rule. The rule is still there. Females and males are different, right? We know that. And so because of that, that's what makes the female psychopath so dangerous, is because we believe, like, at an emotional level, society, that this is a woman, and probably, somewhat, you don't if you would never expect her to do something super evil to her child, for example. Or, just never. You assume that she's going to, like, bathe the child and coddle the child and soothe the child and feed the child. And you also know, obviously, she's going to be imperfect. She's going to be a human. Things are not, she's going to have bad days, and you know that. But basically, she's going to be a mother. And that's why, so that's just something that's an assumption that you have as a human. Now, someone like Delilah, okay, now she is a totally different person. And again, this is not all females. And this is what's very important for guys to understand, is when you do encounter a very evil person, it affects you very deeply. And you start to doubt. You start to distrust everybody. It causes you to, and this is a very important thing to fix, you need to develop the ability to trust people again. To trust, without trust, you are left in a nervous, hypervigilant state, which is very unhealthy for you. and will destroy your happiness. Okay? That's it. You need to find a way to overcome a traumatic incident and then to essentially forgive and move on in life and learn to trust again with the new knowledge that you have, that that this does exist, that this type of person is real. You need to own that, because what happens is when you learn something, okay, let's say you married, and this is not that uncommon for people on this channel, is like they come to a channel like a MGTOW channel, Ronin man, because there was something that they really got burned, like really burned, and they can't wrap their head around it. They just can't figure it out. Like what happened? Like why did I, what am I, and then they're looking for like, how do I figure this whole thing out, right? So, and the thing is, a lot of people out there will want you to stay essentially damaged, because that is something that fires everybody up. It's easy to have a channel where you're like, oh, everybody's like this and they're all like this. And it's like this just repetition, this endless, and I think some people, they don't know, they don't have a solution, and they're not able to give a solution. So I shouldn't say that just because somebody just rampages and goes on and on. It could be a very damaged person who just doesn't have any solutions, doesn't have anything to teach, right? There's nothing there. There's no overcoming. There's no wisdom, and there's no moving on, and there's no growth, right? The key is, what you want to be able to own a situation which can be very terrible, and it's something that you just don't want to face, and evil, and then to figure out how you got there, how to get out, and then eventually how to move on, how to build a better life than you even had before when you were naive, where now you've rebuilt that ability to trust people. You've really rebuilt that ability to trust women. And also but now you see, okay, now your eyes are open, that there are people who are essentially snakes in suits. They are people who are masquerading, using the kind of the veneer, not the veneer, but they're taking advantage of the fact that you think they're like this. And one example I can give you is when Japan was very wealthy in the bubble, Japanese people, like I lived in Japan for a long time, and I was when I left Japan, I was working with Japanese people so much, Japanese companies, and I moved to Japanese communities. I'm very comfortable in any Japanese expat community, for example, and everybody back at that time, like people were so honest in Japan. It was amazing. Like if you left your wallet, people would return it. I mean, Japan is still like this, but it was really like this in the old days. Like people were so honest. Like you could not believe it. If they said they're going to pay, they would pay, even if there was no contract. Like Japan really was a handshake country where you would make a deal and they would just, boom, they would do it. They would do what they said, 100%. And it was amazing. It was like, for me, I was totally shocked. It changed me forever, actually. I thought it was beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful. And there was an ability to totally trust in business. Now, there was exceptions. Okay, large companies would still steal from small companies. IP was stolen. There was issues. But I would say, in general, and anybody who lived there, I would definitely say, they'd be like, yeah, this is true. It was, like, amazing. Yeah, and the thing is, because of that, because Japanese people were very trustworthy, there was a couple Japanese, and there was very few, but I remember there was a couple Japanese, and I would guess they probably would be very mentally disordered, but they would go to hotels, like say in Southeast Asia, and take advantage of the fact that Japanese always paid. Like they would stay for a month, and the credit card didn't work or something, and then they would they would crawl across broken glass to bring the money to you, like to, I'm so sorry, there's a war going on. They're like keeping their head down, the bullets going over their head. They're like, they're like in the mud, and they're bringing you the money. Like, I'm so, sumimasen, here's the money, thank you, and then you're like, dude, you didn't have to, But that was the level they were. But because of that opened up the door for the very rare, and I'm not saying there was many, there was very, very few, but it's just a good example of this case with women, is that you could trust Japanese to pay their bill, and generally you still can, but the exceptions are what really hurt. They really hurt, because if you had somebody, let's say, who stayed in your hotel, 5-star hotel, ate lobster, crab, went to all the shows, did the dinners, used everything, and then just disappeared. A Japanese, you would never expect it. You'd be like, oh, he's going to pay. Where he must be around here somewhere. Like, where'd he go? And then if the guy disappeared, you're like, oh my God, like, holy crap, like, that dude's gone. Like, he didn't pay the bill. Like, at that time, they were Japanese. I'm serious. They were so honest that you would almost think he was kidnapped. Like, you're like, something must have happened. Like, well, what happened to that guy? Where'd he go? Maybe he'll come back. I hope he's okay. That kind of thing, right? And then you realize, oh my gosh, there are exceptions, right? So it's that betrayal of the norm. Okay, it's because of something you assume. Okay, you assume, and females, you assume that a female would get into a relationship with you with the purpose of, bonding and, sharing, helping each other. You don't assume she's Mother Teresa or anything, but you just assume that, yeah, she needs you and you need her. There's a kind of like, there's a lot of analogies for this, but basically two people that get together and together become a better, two than separate ones, right? That's kind of the whole concept of marriage. Not that it's true or false, but that is something that you assume when somebody wants to be in a relationship with you, right? You assume that they believe that. The problem is this. The female psychopath, just like the Japanese guy, you assume she is coming to you with, in a sense, she chose you out of all the people, okay, because you have this talent, you have this, you might be very attractive, you might be very, you might be like where a lot of women want to be with you. She wants to be with you because of that, okay? She wants the things that are attractive about you. But the female psychopath, and here's the thing, the only reason why they're with you, the only reason is they want to figure out what it is that makes you special. And they want to destroy that. And they want to see you in pain. There is something that gives them a sense of that they mean something in the world. Okay, by destroying a beautiful thing. Okay, and you also see, I think, a very similar thing. There are women with YouTube channels where they will take a very innocent, let's say, rabbit or kitten, and stomp it with high heels. In the most what they do in the video is they'll take the rabbit and then baby pet it and be very very feminine, very nice to it, and then they'll put on high heels, and then they will absolutely just the most vicious. And the rabbit, you can see the animals coming to her help me, and then she's the one crushing it, right? And it's that is a female psychopath. That is exactly what they are. Those videos, they're great. I mean, you should watch those videos, because a female psychopath, that is what she wants. She wants to pick somebody who loves her. She wants to find somebody who has great power. And then she wants to destroy that, and she feels good about it. Okay, this is the thing. And everybody around her, okay, in this society, your friends, your mom, your friends, family, this is what makes it so devastating, is that it's not just the action. It's that everybody else will think that because the way she's female and everything, they're going to assume, okay, that the same assumption that you had, okay, in the beginning, is that she would not do that. This is not possible. So what that does is it makes a very terrible, what do you call it, a mix or concoction in the end, because in the very end, what happens is that, even after, okay, so it's you're being hit by, one thing is you're investing a lot. So as a man, so let me just go over the details. So you're assuming there's some goodness here. There's some kindness, right? There's a desire to 1 + 1 = 3. There's something in there. It might not always work out, but there's that desire. And then you assume that, hey, this is a female, basically safe, I am safe here. This is going to be fine. This is going to be good, right? And then your emotion, your heart or whatever opens up without you knowing it, and in she walks. So you have that heart with the one person in there. It's a one-room chamber, right? And there she is. She's in there. Okay, so now she's in there, and then when somebody really gets, what happens when you get a relationship that reaches the deepest levels? That's when you start telling secrets. This is when you think as a man, it's like, I can tell this woman anything. I can really open up. I can really, and again, what is really the most meaningful for you might be something very, very subtle. See, you might not even know, like Samsung knew that it was his hair. But I say to you, you probably do not know what your secret is. You probably don't know. You probably do not know what yours is. And I can tell you this because in my experience, I often don't know what mine is. Okay? Like, what is it about me that keeps me, like, considering my background, everything I've been through, why do I stay optimistic? Why do I stay healthy? Why do I meet people who've been through exactly what I've been through. And I met a guy, okay, who went through exactly a very similar story to me. And we were sitting there, we were talking, and he was a national speaker for, I'm not going to go into the details, but basically for some type of abuse. And he was sitting there and he was telling me, and we were walking, and he said, I can't stand up very long. And I said, well, why not? He says, well, my body's like destroyed. A lot of my bones have been broken, like, and this and that. And I was like, why is that? And he said, people that have been through what we've been through, usually their bodies are totally destroyed. Either through self-inflicted, car crashes, basically the body is usually destroyed by this type of abuse. It causes like a collapse inside. It causes risky behaviors that you roll the dice enough, you're going to end up losing, right? You're going to roll snake eyes, right? And together, decades and risks, add up, right? And he said, he looked at me and he's like, and then he's kind of his eyes open. He's like, I never met anybody like you. How are you like you, despite what I already heard? And I was like, I don't know either, man. Like, I don't know either. But there's some secret that I have, okay? Now, that secret, I don't even know what it is. Like, I can't tell you what that secret is. But a female psychopath, a Delilah, give her enough time with me, and she's going to figure that out. She will figure it out because that is kind of what her gig is. Her gig, okay, is finding, essentially imagine a man with a aura. Okay? There's not many men who have an aura, have a presence, there's something about them that makes them different. Like, there's something, and that something is what is very attractive to a female psychopath. That very, very attractive. But then quickly they realize they can't own it. They can't have it. And that kind of that something, that charismatic, that attractive, that magnetic, that larger presence, okay, it's something that cannot be transferred. You don't, by hanging out with somebody who has this, you don't get it. So if you hang out with somebody, like, no matter how good of friends you are with them, that particular aspect of them doesn't transfer. But what most people do, here's what most people do. When healthy people meet other people, and they have something, whatever it is, they're like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I think that's so cool that you have that. Like, that's beautiful. Like, I love that. Like, that's so cool. Like, that's one thing I enjoy, is like, you have this ability, and it really is fun to be around, and I enjoy it, right? So that is what a normal person will do. Okay, so if you meet somebody who is just a really, a fantastic artist who just has this eye for things. They just, or they're a photographer, or they're a, let's say they are a yoga teacher, and they just have this amazing, like, just this kind of like supernatural almost ability to relax and to balance and strength, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And I think one of the most healing things, or for myself, one of the most growing things, is to kind of, the best word I can use is breathe that in. So breathe in other people's like beauty and their like talent and their unique abilities. Like, breathe that in and enjoy that. Like savor that. Enjoy, be part of that. It's like it's like a song or something. You're listening to the song, you're enjoying the song. Yeah, it's not your song, but you're listening, you're enjoying it. It's like, wow, And I think that's why I have so many friends, because I enjoy meeting different people, and I look at them very closely, and I say, like, wow, that person has that skill or that skill. And it's like, wow, that's so cool, And I can really enjoy being around that skill, and kind of, seeing that, and seeing what that brings to them and how they look at life differently. And it's like, wow, that's so cool. I don't have that, right? I don't have that skill, but I really enjoy being around it, Like, I surf my whole life, but I am not a good surfer. Like, I am just not a talented surfer. I am a talented waterman, but I am not a talented surfer. And I never was. I never had that kind of, whatever that was, just to kind of like that extra something that a good surfer has. It's just amazing. And I think it's beautiful. I remember this guy. I won't say his last name, Jim H. And it was Easter morning. I remember watching him. It was like early morning, and he was out there, and he was just so freaking natural. Like, he just has this thing about his surfing. It's just, I can't, surfing is really a great sport, because it's not a power sport. It's very much a very, very much a finesse sport. Very, very much a finesse and a feeling and an intuition. And like, I saw him on the wave, and he gets on this wave, and it was just a little wave. It wasn't a big wave, And he just knew exactly where to be in the vortex to get the maximum speed. And then he got into this like super like cool stance. But the reason why he was in this stance was to get the max out of the little. It was like he was just like kind of weaving in and out and using that, like, you could almost like little rivers in their power that he was finding, and then doing it to the max, and then going to the next one. And he ended up flying along, and he was doing like he was up near the nose of the board, and he was on the short board. He wasn't even on a long board. Like, he was so talented. He had this, like, it was like he was part of the wave. It was beautiful, And when I watched Jim, I was just like, oh man, I don't have that, Like, I don't have that surfing. I've sensed it. I mean, and it's not like I totally don't know it. I do know part of it, but I don't have what he has, I don't have that ability that he has. But I really enjoy being around people who have that. And I enjoy watching them. And I would love to talk to him about it. And I would love to take pictures of that and watch that and almost study that, because it's a beautiful thing, what I'm describing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that is where I want to be with people with talent. I want to be in that mode where I'm like, wow, like, that is so fucking cool. Like, that is just amazing. I love the fact that he has that, like, somebody in this world has that, Anybody could ride that wave and just stand there and go, but not what Jim did. Not what Jim did. He did something different, man. And I know it's very different, because I've been in the water my whole life. I'm like, that is just amazing. Like, that is just world class right there, what he was doing, And he was just doing it like it was nothing. It was just like a morning like just an early morning, just out to the water in front of the house, and I was just like, wow, so cool. So cool. So the female psychopath, okay, she will see this type of thing. Okay, she will see this beauty that I'm talking about, this ethereal quality, essentially, this almost like the words like otherworldly or ethereal or spiritual. It's when you get to this level of talent, there's no words for it. And the female psychopath will see that and be attracted, and then just want to figure out how to destroy that, right? And to destroy that, let's say for Jim, could have been a drug addiction. That could have destroyed him. As far as I know, he's still totally healthy and great, and that's awesome. But that would be one way that a female psychopath might, see as a way. But I would guess, and here would be something. Here's what a female psychopath would do with Jim. Okay, what she would do is, I just thought of it. She would, okay, so he got his, this is where his, spirit, his kind of, where the juice came from, where the happiness came from, where the swimming in the stream of life came from, where his optimism and generosity and humor and his dance with the world came from this just being out there in the water. Now somebody else would not get that same thing because he was in a very complex, beautiful dance, right? Now, what a female psychopath would do would be something like this. She would make him too busy to go out. She was like, oh, you can't surf today, you can't this and that. And then maybe she might get them to move to Arizona. Okay. She might get them to move away so that he wouldn't realize that by being away from the water, from surfing, it's not just water I'm talking about. It's like surfing a wave. Okay. And by taking him away from that, she knows, a female psychopath is quite aware that you don't get that same kind of feeling from, let's say, walking in the desert or, you know what I mean? You just can't, but again, it can't be traced back. So this is what a female psychopath will do. And will take away and then will enjoy to see you destroyed, to see the light go out. So if this happened to Jim, he might move to Arizona. He might start drinking. He might start using drugs. He might start to just become more surly. He might have less friends. He might not sleep as well. He might become his own worst enemy. And this is exactly what the female psychopath wants. So the female psychopath is looking like, essentially, imagine a building with pillars. And she's under the building and knocking out pillars, trying to figure out which one is the one that's going to make the building fall down, right? So she's kicking the pillars out. She's knocking them out with a bulldozer, sledgehammer. She's doing what she can, or she's letting water come in and erode the foundation of those pillars, or termites or whatever. She is doing what it takes so that she can see. Like I heard arsonists, they always get caught because they go see the fire. They want to see what they created, the damage that they did. And she wants to watch him be destroyed. She wants to hear the screams of pain. I'm serious. I'm not joking. This is like dead serious. She gets energy, a feeling of worth, a feeling of self-esteem from doing this. And also she's relieved of all of her bad feelings, because her bad feelings are the envy that she has for that beautiful trait. Okay, so using Jim as an example, that surfing, that beautiful trait, she envied that. She envied that because in some ways, okay, what Jim was doing was much more feminine than a lot of things that women do. Like, there was a beauty, there was a majesty, that like really like amazing artistry in what he was doing. And there are women who definitely take that as a slight. And they take it like, it's like a man is like a million times more feminine than me. And it's not in the negative sense. I'm not talking about like a fake femininity or let's put on makeup, let's wear clothes, let's do something. I'm talking about the beauty. Okay, we all, men and women, we have both aspects inside of us, right? And different things that we do bring out those different aspects. But a lot, for example, a female who is insecure, okay, about her own femininity, she sees herself as an oaf, as a not, maybe she only hears her farts, or she, she does not see herself as a beautiful feminine creature. She will be extremely envious of a man who effortlessly displays these characteristics which we associate with femininity, because she knows that whatever she does, she's like this brick oaf, and in her mind. Now, I don't believe that she is a brick oaf at the heart. I think that she actually could, if she would be able to see herself, she would be able to go back and find that femininity which was originally in her. But that femininity was destroyed. And the problem with a psychopath is that they have an inability to learn. They have an inability to look at themselves. They are shame-based. They do not have the capacity to look at their own pain and their past. And because of that, they're like a fucking freight train moving forward. They cannot move back. They cannot face the pain of the past. And because of that, they are utterly unable to change. Utterly. I'm not saying it is not in the spiritual sense of what is man capable of. I still say that there is a possibility that a female psychopath could change. I'm sure, I'll even go this far, in history that there probably was a female psychopath who at some point, for some reason, for whatever happened, where she actually got the courage to face herself and face her pain. And you don't become a psychopath because of having good things in your life. Becoming a psychopath is a extremely, let's say, personality disordered person is a result of a very unfair and very painful background. Okay, period. Okay, it is created. Okay, there's an argument that there are some psychopaths that are actually born, but most of the time they are created by and this is what we get to child development. They were not allowed to grow and develop trust, security, love, a feeling of comfort, a feeling of relaxation. And so they developed a bunch of defense mechanisms. And the female psychopath at this point not only is just a bundle of defense mechanisms. There is no personality there. It's just a bunch of defense mechanisms. And those defense mechanisms are set up in a way that they defend against seeing the own defense mechanisms. And they defend against changing the defense mechanisms because it becomes so far away from that feminine, let's call it a flame. Like that feminine flame, that just like that soft, light, dancing in the wind flame. They become so far away. They go so far away and they're so afraid that flame is out and gone. And then what happens next is the female psychopath causes people to feel pain, destroys people. Because a female psychopath has a power that a male psychopath does not have because of the trust that society gives to people, to women, both to take care of children and also in families, in every situation, in friendship. Women are given because of the, like I said in the beginning, like because of the kind of the way that society looks at women, there is a, and just like the Japanese guy in the bubble in the 80s, there is a kind of sense like, yeah, he's going to pay his bill. Like the females, yeah. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're going to basically do this or do that. When a female psychopath is exactly not that. Exactly not that. It is almost like a robot or a crocodile or a dinosaur who is absolutely cold. There is no heat in the blood at all. And this is just, it's like attracted to a light, like a fish in the water at night, attracted to a light, and that light is the man's beauty, okay? Whatever it is, whether it's physical or spiritual or whatever. And then it is a like suddenly a sense of wanting to, like the rabbit, bring the rabbit in, and then to crush it as in the most painful way and slow, in a way that the rabbit is actually coming to the person for help. Like, help me. Like the rabbit doesn't understand that the person that is the person that is crushing them is crushing them. Like the bunny is so convinced, the kitten, that the person is going to do something nice. Like it's like their leg is controlled by some other force, and like the arms are going to come out and start loving the rabbit and take it to the hospital. It's like the rabbit doesn't understand. Like they are being destroyed, and there is a pleasure. There is a smile on the face, and every heel that comes down is trying to sever their vertebrae and crush their skull. Okay, this is a female psychopath, and this is why they are so incredibly dangerous. And it is a archetype. It is a type of person. And if you have had any like experience with this archetype, you know what I'm talking about. This is very, very dangerous for you. If this struck home for you, if this episode struck home for you, you need to really figure this one out. This is not the type of episode you're just going to listen and say, oh, that's an interesting thing. That's interesting. If anything hits home for you, if your brain is like, there's some kind of like ding, 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 ding light going off, you need to get into this one, because this is an extremely dangerous situation for you. And regardless of it's now or in the past, because this type of person will cause, like I said with Jim, would get him to move away. It will cause him to destroy himself. Okay, so you could be destroying yourself long after you've gotten away from the psychopath. Long after, you've become quote unquote safe, right? So your brain's like, oh, that's a long time ago. No. This type of person enjoys almost not just destroying. So the rabbit is like a right now thing. I believe, in my experience, is that a female psychopath would almost enjoy more to see the person do it to themselves rather than for them to do it, because it shows the ultimate in power. Much like Charlie Manson didn't do anything himself, but he brainwashed his followers to go do stuff, right? And there was I'm sure that his mastermind, no doubt he was a psychopath. That psychopath mastermind, they really enjoy causing other people to go and do it. And they can say, hey, I didn't have anything to do with that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, my son committed suicide. Like, well, that's like the poor guy tried to help him all this time. Like I was always there for him. And it was like so many sleepless nights. And they create this narrative that they were this loving mother who essentially lived under this very painful situation until he finally, I'm talking serious stuff in this one. Okay, I'm not talking just bad day at the office. I'm talking serious stuff like suicide, death in a car crash. These are the type of things. Or utterly gutted, destroyed life. Okay, This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. I am not talking about, and if this is implanted in you, you need to root it out. You need to understand it. You absolutely need, whether you are male or female, it does not matter at all. This person can utterly undermine your entire life. And the good news is you can totally overcome it completely. Once you understand what happened and what made you vulnerable and how the whole thing, you can absolutely not only come out of this, like I said in the beginning, your ultimate goal is to come out of it with a new level of A, understanding of people, but B, trust. Because you can now trust, before you trusted naively, but now you trust knowing that there are things out there that you need to watch out for, right? So it's a maturity, essentially. It's a maturity that you come out of it with. And I think also you also come out of it with I'd have to say a real appreciation for good people. Because you no longer see everybody as the same. You don't see, that person, kind of, that's what a naive person does. They see a very good person and they see a very manipulative person. It's kind of like, they're both good, nice chicks. Actually, the more you understand and the more educated you get in this type of personalities and the effects of this and the effect on your life, the more realistic you get, it's like you can really appreciate. Like, I know for myself, I really, really, really appreciate. I got to say this, like, since I kind of have figured this out of my life, I have such an appreciation for femininity now that I never had before. As you might notice it in my talk here. I really like that femininity, that natural, the characteristics that we endow women with, right? That, like I said, are not the case with every woman. But that underlying, the reason why, I'm going up this hill now, the reason why we put these, we essentially assign these to women is because many women do have this. And it's that love, that femininity, that floating light. I even wrote a poem about this, actually. And I think I'm really proud of it, actually. It's about this one particular girl I had. And I'm not going to say it because I publicly wrote this under my own name. So I don't want to use it on Ronin Man. But it was an appreciation for that femininity that I'm talking about. And somebody that I knew that was just maybe the most feminine woman, or one of the most feminine, or one that I could see the femininity in, or displayed it to me or whatever. They're like, I appreciate that now. I so appreciate that femininity and that difference, because I have things in myself, like an artistic side, that are in that archetype. But a female who has that is just a different thing, and I really appreciate that, and I like to watch that. I like to see that, just like I watched Jim when he was surfing, and I could see the intricacies of what he was actually doing. Right, I could see the beauty in his movements, right? And even more than that, I see in a feminine woman now, I really appreciate it, because I realize, like, not everybody has it. Like, it's really not. It's not like, everybody's like, like, no. But the people that do have it, it's freaking beautiful. I mean, it really is. Like, there's no other word for it. It's stunning, actually. It's breathtaking, I say. It's breathtaking to see the natural, the best the world has to offer. In masculinity and strength, and also in femininity. To see those things and appreciate those things. Don't lose those things, guys. No matter what happens to you, don't lose that. Don't fucking lose that. Don't lose that love for life. Don't lose that, man. And don't lose that. Don't let one situation allow you to lose part of yourself. Because that's what happens, is you're losing part of yourself. There's a big part of a man who really can appreciate that. And like, it's almost like, I mean, really, we're talking deep stuff for men here. We're talking like something that could almost calm you and allow you to survive a gunshot wound. It's a feeling of security in the world, a feeling that you matter, a feeling that your masculine traits are important, because when you look at it, pure femininity, you realize, like, as you really appreciate it, you realize, wow, like I have my skills, like I have my masculinity is there, it's inside of me. It's like, and you start to see yourself and appreciate the beauty of yourself, of your strength and your talents, and also like the things that you don't have, like, and how I guess healing they can be for you. When things go really bad, man, when you lose everything, that's when it matters. That's when it fucking matters. See, it doesn't matter when you're going to fucking Walmart. See, I'm not talking about that. It matters when it really matters. Like Elton John said that Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel, the song "Don't Give Up." It kind of chokes me up, actually. But Elton John, he was going to kill himself. And that song stopped him. And there's something in that song. You can watch it on YouTube. There's some femininity in there. There's a caring. There's a loving. And it's going to be okay. And I think that it's okay whether you have let's say, a relationship or not. You can still appreciate that feeling is still in the world, okay? Okay, that feeling is there. It doesn't even matter if you have somebody who's giving it to you or not. You can partake in that aspect of femininity, okay? I'm not saying go out and find a woman and you're going to live happily. I'm saying appreciate it. See it, and you can see it all around you. It's not just in women, but also in flowers and in the ocean and in music and art, in yourself. Like I said, with gym surfing, you can really enjoy it and appreciate it. And you don't have to, at the same time as appreciate it, doesn't mean that you throw caution to the wind and that means that you have to do this or have to do that. No, I'm not talking about commitment. I'm talking about contracts. I'm talking about appreciation and breathing it in, letting it, like a ghost, stroll through your soul. That's what I'm talking about. That's where you want to be. You don't try to grab a ghost and make a contract with a ghost. You don't try to lock a ghost down. You can't handcuff a ghost. You can't handcuff a spirit, right? It's about sensing it and appreciating it and letting it kind of roll through. Smelling it, sensing it, seeing it, just seeing it. And when somebody has a beauty and you see it, they notice you too, because they're like, oh, see, most people don't even notice that, but you noticed it. See, there are other people who are like oafs who will just let that beauty walk by them without them having any idea what just happened. That happens all the time. All right, guys, I hope that has been a interesting episode there. It's gone way fucking deep, and I really enjoyed making it. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys are well, and I'll talk to you soon.